Hockey's back, baby. Let's go.
I think that's the goal there, to be honest. That hockey was phenomenal. All right, Phil Kessel is a Stanley Cup champion once again. Woo! Hey, Bruce, there it is. Bruce, there it was. At least it wasn't Adam Fox.
It's two juggernauts just colliding with each other. What? Weird. Now we have to deal with another generational talent in Chicago. Root.
Welcome back to the Puck and Stuff podcast. I am your co-host B-Dog with my buddy as always, T-Dog over here. How's it going, my dude?
Sup, bro? Doing pretty good. Nordique Sat, shout out. CHEL Talk, welcome, boys. How's it going? We haven't done this in a while. Some stuff to talk about. I mean, most of the stuff I wanted to talk about is pretty irrelevant now. Like, okay, let's just quickly do it. How did you think of the All-Star Weekend that happened 2 weeks ago?
Never watched it.
It was I mean, congrats for
The
McDavid.
skills competition. I'll say that. It was pretty nice, but yeah, it was good. McDavid walked out with $1 million. A lot of people saw Tate McRae. Everyone's crushing on her now, which is interesting. But other than that, it's an all-star break. It is what it is. But there has been a lot going on in the NHL alone, especially since we last talked about Elias Lindholm getting traded, but now another piece for Winnipeg, I guess you could say. Hey, T?
Yeah, Sean Monahan.
Ooh.
He's been doing pretty good.
Pretty
He
good.
got a hat trick with the Jets when they played the Flames there on Saturday matinee game.
That hurts, man.
Which is kind of ironic. Winnipeg has kind of lost their scoring touch this the latter half of the season right now. There's one thing I want to get into as well, like after the talk of the trade. A lot of teams have been kind of screwed over by that break.
Yeah.
Some have taken advantage of it, but some haven't. But the Monahan trade is honestly looked pretty solid. Depth in the center. He's a solid piece for any team going into the playoffs. Maybe he doesn't have the playoff experience for say, but that's what Winnipeg needs, especially right now because they kind of need to. They're kind of relying too much on their goalie.
I mean, Connor Hellebuck is still having one hell of a season, though. You got to admit that.
Oh, he is.
And
100%.
I would definitely say with Sean Monahan, this was a great deal with Winnipeg in the sense. Kent Hughes is like scheming over here first round picks, especially for Sean Monahan, which is hilarious. But with Montreal, Sean Monahan played 49 games and recorded 35 points, which is still pretty impressive for how injured Monahan really was. But he finally got better and showed he could still play hockey. And his first 7 games with Winnipeg, he's already got 5 goals. Yeah, that probably helped your power play quite a bit, eh?
Well, it's the Monahan that we know. And
Yeah.
what sucks about it is we can still have that. But I wasn't the person who thought we needed to traded him too because of the injuries. I'm happy. I don't think there's any Flames fan out there who is not happy for Monahan to having this success because he deserves it. And I don't really care what team he plays for. And the nice thing is, he's helping a Canadian team win. So to me, that's a win at it. I look at this team and I would say that there's some decent depth on this roster. And I think as long as you keep, your top 6 healthy, I think this team does have a chance at the playoffs still and to make a splash. And I kind of mentioned how some players are being not screwed over per se, but are being affected by that big break. And I think Winnipeg's one of them. They almost lost a little bit of swagger. And I feel like they're losing games maybe they shouldn't, because that Flames game should have been Winnipeg's game. I mean, they got goals from Monahan, like we said, great, but where was the rest of the goal scoring? Connor has that ability to score when needed. Scheifele does also have that ability too. Where were they? Ehlers as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. It makes me a little nervous in the sense that Canadian teams going far. I don't know, man. I mean, I feel like you have these up and down swings of momentum, but you gotta have to fix that before playoffs, I think.
I mean, still, when you look at Winnipeg's case, in their last 10, they're 4-5-1. So right now, they are on the downside, but Monahan is their lead second on the team in points with 40. So they could be in a worse situation. You can notice that Sean Monahan is being a big impact on their power play right off the bat, especially when you saw in the Flames game the other day. But honestly, this team could turn it around really quick. They're still third in the Central. You look at Connor Hellebuck; he's looking amazing this year with 26 wins and a goals save percentage of 925%. So
Still
he's looking
solid, yeah.
still that is amazing. That's a great Vezina year for Hellebuck and net. So if he stays like that for him until playoffs, if he stays like this, I think he brings the team to playoffs. He potentially brings a Vezina home. Like, you really got to look at the whole team, and I think it really does start off with Hellebuck. So he playing that well definitely just helps Winnipeg down the long term.
100%. I mean, he's easily like if he goes down, what does Winnipeg do? I mean, Laurent
Like
Brossoit, has a good track record. Like he played well with Vegas. I mean, you said it right there. Monahan is second in points with 40.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, this is coming from a Flames fan, right? Kind of ironic, but it's like,
Just a little
in a
bit.
league where you gotta have to score a lot of goals. You gotta have some point getters there. But at the same time, you got a Hellebuck who's got a 925 save percentage in a league where teams are playing games that end up 10-7. So it just
Vancouver.
it just depends on kind of what you think.
So we look into the standings right now, and we got Vancouver leading the Pacific with 80 points. We got Vegas right behind them coming with 70 points. In third, we got the Edmonton Oilers with 67 points. They're playing Boston right now, so they potentially might lose. Who knows? They might come back. We look at the Central. First is Dallas with 76 points. Colorado is second with 74, and Winnipeg is third with 73. I think that is a big dog fight division right now for just those three spots. In the wild card, we got LA in first with 66 points. We got St. Louis second with 60, with Nashville being third with 60, Minnesota on their tail as well with 58, Seattle, Calgary, and potentially Arizona in that mix as well, just in the wild card race in the West. And we also look to the East. We got Florida leading the Atlantic with 78. Boston might jump over them if they win against Edmonton tonight with 77. And Toronto is third with 68. It's been kind of a dogfight in that division too, because them and Tampa keep switching, and potentially Detroit as well, since they're second in the wild card with 64. We move on to the Metropolitan with 77 points. The Rangers lead the Metropolitan. Carolina's behind them with 71. We got Philly in third somehow, even though they lost Carter Hart with 67. And Tampa and Detroit are in the wild cards. Can the Devils catch up? Who knows?
Good for Philly. I would love to see Philadelphia in the playoffs. That'd be much desirable. I think, in my opinion, I feel like this is probably what the playoffs look like for teams. Maybe not the actual order, but I'm gonna be honest, the way that New Jersey's been inconsistent, I don't see them making it. I don't see Islanders making it. I don't see Washington or Pittsburgh making it. They haven't proven anything to me why they should even deserve a playoff spot. I mean, here's the thing. New Jersey is third, the last one to get into that wild card spot with 4 points, but -6 goal differential.
Yeah,
Look at
that's
this.
pretty
New York
ugly.
Islanders -22, then Washington minus 32. I
It
don't
makes
know.
you really
And
question if they're going to try take Markstrom at the deadline, especially placed. I mean, they're placed 5 points out of the playoff spot. Imagine what difference that makes if they add a guy like Markstrom.
100%, but I just don't see how that would even benefit them because the way you've been playing, it takes time for goalies to get, onto that team and kind of, play up to that level that we know they can. So I
Yeah.
don't think even a goalie as in Markstrom or even a UC Saros. Speaking of UC Saros, look at Nashville. So they're third. Like look at these minus differentials. Them between St. Louis and Nashville, I don't know. I mean, Minnesota could sneak in there too.
Yeah.
But Seattle, they just don't have that kind of maybe not luck per se, but they just don't kind of have the results from what they had last season.
Yeah.
And then Calgary's not going to make it. But that's
Calgary.
something. But I gotta say, Trotz does like the like stay competitive while trading assets because if you're trading Sorrows, you're still competing for a playoff spot. It's just
Yeah,
crazy. But the haul you'll get is fantastic. So
just for Sorrows. But did you think Nashville really wants to lose Sorrows in that sense? He still's got his age on the right side. He's still a young competitive goalie. And if Nashville's still kind of trying to retool, that's a goaltender you want to keep long term, don't you?
if the price is right, why not?
Yeah, I mean, dude,
I don't know why they. I mean, I wouldn't trade Sorrows. This dude's like he's a Vezina caliber goalie.
I mean, like that would be a little bit different. I'll get more into this with when we go to Flames talk soon, but
Yeah.
it makes more sense in Calgary's addition to get rid of Markstrom because if you look at him, he's on the wrong side of 30. This is the best value he's really had since you would say he was a free agent for Calgary. So it makes more sense for Calgary to like take that step away from Markstrom because of his age and what direction we kind of chose. But Nashville, oh, that's I don't like that idea out of Nashville though.
But the haul you get, right, is what I'm saying, because
Uh,
there's talks that because Carolina's been looking at a goalie, Saros could be a potential candidate, and they were saying that they might ship out a player like Martin Necas.
oh,
A player like him, man, that'd be fantastic to have. So, I mean, I think it'd be a pretty good package.
yeah, I
Uh,
really
if you'd
would.
offer it.
I mean, I guess since we're really talking about kind of that situation with how the trade bait is looking right now in the NHL, let's kind of just jump to the trade bait list that has been produced to us by TSN so far. And so far, number one is Noah Hannafin. Number two is Jacob Markstrom. Number three is Chris Tanev. Number four is Jake Gensel. Number five,
Number one, baby.
yeah, we're number one, number two, and number three. Jake Gensel, sadly enough, is injured for 4 weeks with an upper body injury. So sadly enough, I doubt Gensel is moving anywhere anytime soon from Pittsburgh, especially with this injury, or unless someone's ballsy enough. Number five is Adam Henrique, and number six, which is kind of funny, it's the Oilers' first round pick. And you also see Tarasenko up there as well. So there's a lot of notable names in trade bait this year, Tito. What are your thoughts on it so far?
Well, it just makes me excited for March 4th because, like, that's a lot of players, there's a lot of good names that go past the top 10, which I think Alexander Carrier be pretty solid to have too.
Yeah.
Pavel Buchnevich. I mean, St. Louis, man. I mean, I think if you're going for a playoff run, I think you got to keep Buchnevich, right?
Yeah.
Jake Allen, right? So there's another goalie there, Chikrin. So Ottawa's going to start selling. Dallas is first. Jordan Eberle. So you go back to Edmonton. We'll see.
Ooh, that's
Jack Roslovic, Frank Vitrano. Ooh, that's gonna be a good deal. 26 is first rounder, Nick Sealer and Duclair. It's a lot of UFAs.
yeah, lots of
Um,
US this year.
I think there's a few GMs licking their chops at honestly what they could get in return if they're selling, but as well too like who wants to kind of pay the ransom and pay the piper so they can go for a cup run. This might screw up. This is what I think. With a trade bait list like this, with a lot of these really well-known names, renowned names, this is going to screw a few teams up going for their cup runs.
Ooh, yes. I
You,
think
you know, how much are you going to pay? Now, the thing is, okay, as an example, Nick Sealer. I could see someone paying good amount, or, that's a good deal to trade for because Sealer is a young defenseman with a lot of upside potential, lefty too, right? So you kind of look at that. But then what about players that are a little older? Like Adam Henrique you're getting that for veteranship and that playoff experience. Now, where does he fit on a team? A team like Colorado might like that, but Colorado tried that with other players such as like Druin and Parise, right? I don't know if it really worked that well. So I think it just depends. Like, let's do this. I'm gonna name off a player. Just tell me where you think he'd be a good fit. Just as a hypothetical. Doesn't have to be too in depth. But like, where do you think Hannafin's landing?
I've heard talks of Tampa. I've heard
Mm-hmm.
talks of Florida. That actually doesn't sound like a terrible piece. And especially when you're looking at Tampa, they probably need the defensive ball.
Especially since Svechnikov is out there for the season.
Broken leg, dude. Ugh.
Yeah, it sucks. Markey, like, I mean, I could still see him going to the Devils. I don't know what
Dude.
caused because apparently it wasn't cap retention that screwed over the actual trade, but I could see him going to New Jersey.
Yeah, I do too. I think that
Um,
hasn't really been changed. I think New Jersey needs that goaltender change bad right now. So I think they're pushing for it as hard as they can, but just it hasn't
mhm.
worked yet. So I'm gonna still say New Jersey. Maybe Toronto's ballsy enough. Maybe, but who knows?
I don't know. I mean, if Toronto's actually going for a player, I mean,
Actually,
I could see. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I don't know why they do this, but I could see like a Tarasenko or Scott Lawton.
hmm,
Lawton to me would make more sense, but Tarasenko just because Tree Living likes his names, so
actually,
you
I
kind
was
of
gonna
on
say
that.
if you're talking about Tree Living liking his names, you can mention Chris Tanev to Toronto.
Yeah, for
That is a
sure,
name that could
for
potentially
sure.
be.
Do you have conditions on picks when you trade them? I wonder if that happens.
I don't
Play a
think it'll
certain
be
amount of games or
much.
something.
I think it
I,
will be based on if they add another pick to how far they go in playoffs. I think that's how conditions
yeah.
will go.
Yeah, for sure, pretty much. I just think, for me, I'm excited because I think the Flames can get good returns,
Oh yeah.
and I'm trusting Conroy with the last few trades he has made. But every other team, like, I think I just kind of want to wait it out and see what happens because, in all honesty, like, I don't know where a Tarasenko, at this age, Tarasenko, 6 years ago, a Tarasenko, you'd be putting an arm and a leg up for a 30 goal scorer like him.
Yeah,
But
true.
now, 5 million cap hit. Like he hasn't really worked with Ottawa. Will he work on another team? We don't know.
Hmm.
So, I mean, Florida's tried with names with like Giroux as an example. So maybe you try for Tarasenko. I don't know. Possibility.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell where anyone will go, but you know what? We are getting pretty close to that time of year, and it's almost trade deadline season. I'm super excited for what that can bring, especially as a Flames fan this year. Hearing that the top three trade bait names are Flames players, and now there's a direction on where this team goes. It's going to make next Flames talk very fun because
Oh,
we
100%.
were just on a winning streak, and now we're kind of back on a losing. We're mid. We're mid as there's no other way to really put it. It's the
Dude,
mucky
it's
middle.
a mushy middle, man. Every year.
Yeah.
It's worse this year because you're like, oh, and you go, aw. You go, oh, again. You go, aw.
I think one more thing I do have to mention is the NHL finally did it. They
Yeah,
finally
finally.
did it. Took
Took
you
them
long
long enough.
enough. Also, sorry we're late on this news, but if you have not heard, the NHL is bringing back the Olympics.
Yeah, so and next year there will be a four-nation tournament. Now, is there going to be an All-Star game as well next year?
I hope not.
Because why that'd be kind of stupid. I hope not. But yeah, four-nation tournament. Sweden, Finland, USA, and Canada. So at least we'll see Crosby and McDavid play with each other once.
Yeah.
I won't complain about that, although we did get robbed of prime. I mean, Crosby's still fantastic, but we did get uh, smoked out of a prime Crosby for say
Yeah.
playing with a young McDavid's. That's something. And it's exciting. International hockey is something. And you talk about growing the game, and I know that the NHL is doing pretty good on that with the initiatives that they do have, and I think the game has grown a lot in the States for say.
Yeah.
But international plays just it's different. And as long as because the Olympics is whatever, like you're gonna have them all play for the glory. Now this tournament, as long as there's enough initiative for it, you're gonna get a full effort from each of the players, and that's what we want because international play is fantastic when it's a full competition, full scale, and everyone's invested into it. Like I would say, even the World Cup of Hockey in 2016 was pretty fun. I don't think it was as serious as the Olympics, but it was still enjoyable to see what it's like to have, hockey players playing on the international scale.
Yeah, honestly, I'm gonna have to agree with that. I think now we've kind of had a huge gap from the last time the NHL was in the Olympics in 2014, and now we're 10 years later. Every country's team now looks very different than before because you and I, even a few episodes ago, were talking about what would these teams look like if it was today's teams, right? So we
Mhm.
looked at Sweden, we even looked at Canada on its own. We looked at Team US and Team Finland on just how it would look nowadays with these teams. And I'm excited. I'm super excited to see how this goes with these teams.
Like the parity is going to be pretty impressive. I mean, I still agree in this with the sentiment that I could see USA winning. I actually think they're a deeper team. You can call me crazy, but I look at the defense depth and goalie depth comparable, and I think it's better. Defense is more the same. Canada, of course, does have the top end superstars. The fact that McKinnon might be a second line forward.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
it's
it was
stupid.
close in 2010, man.
So
It'll be
stupid.
close. It'll be close in Is it in 2 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 years.
Oh, Olympics. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I'm thinking the international thing too. But yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And I mean, the league is more international enough. I mean, you can't take Finland, right? Saros is in net, right?
Germany,
Stat-
Draisaitl now, and
Oh
actually
yeah, sorry,
Germany's
Olympics. I
getting
keep
some good
thinking the
players.
whole fourth nation team, but Sweden too, right?
Yeah.
You are gonna have some pretty good. Nylander should. I wonder, could Nylander play for Canada technically? I wonder
Where's
if
he
he
from?
could.
Isn't he from like Calgary?
Born in Calgary because his dad was playing in Calgary when he was a kid.
Yeah, I don't see why not.
Because if he's technically if he's citizens, he probably actually has a choice. He wouldn't play; he'd play for Sweden, but I think
Yeah, he
that'd
probably
be
would, but still.
he should. Come on, man, Nylander on the fourth line. No
You can play
way.
with John Tavares.
Yeah. Honestly, I just hope Huberto like explodes the next season so we can get him on that team. I think Hubie deserves that.
Hubie deserves that.
That'd be pretty sick, man. I'm not gonna lie.
I bet it
But
would. But
it'll be exciting.
yeah, it will be exciting. I'm super interested in the Olympics finally coming back. I think all of us are in that retrospect. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of CHEL Talk. If you did, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. We'd love the support you guys give us. And we're super excited for trade deadline. Tito, wrap this up.
All right, like B Dog said, thank you very much for watching, listening, however you are consuming this content. If you don't like it, comment question of the day: who is gonna get traded? More specifically, kind of what do you think? Like, are there gonna be any like what's the surprise trade that'll happen? Because I have a feeling there's gonna be a few, and it's nice. I mean, means you can be excited for a Monday for once, so that's pretty great. So can't wait, boys. Anyways, guys, keep on drinking that water, stay hydrated, and we will see you in the next one.
Peace.
Peace.